Okay, here's a great question. I think this is really an important issue. It's from Madison Marie in Georgia. She said, school, work, sports, friends, and my own mind put a lot of pressure on me. How can I find self-worth in a world where I can never measure up and where I am never enough? If I am a consistent failure, how can I see that I have any worth at all?
You know, man, that's a hard-hitting question. I think that so many times we're so much harder on ourselves than anybody else is, and it's so easy to view experiences as a failure. For example, when I went on to America's Got Talent, I still, in my mind, view it as probably the most embarrassing failure of my life. However, I made it to the quarterfinals, and people sometimes remind me of that. They're like, Lindsey, you made it to the quarterfinals. But it was, but in my mind, it was such a failure just because the way it ended, and just because the hurt and embarrassment I felt. It was like the most humiliating failure. But I also think that a lot of times we feel, and I get drawn into this so much, I feel like it's the lesson I keep having to learn over and over again, is that worldly pursuits and acclaims and success and beauty, whatever it is, will never make you happy. And that kind of happiness, it's like a parasite that constantly needs to be fed, and not just fed the same amount. In order to stay happy, it has to constantly be fed more and more, and it has to grow. Otherwise, you're failing, or you're not succeeding, or you're unhappy. And it's unsustainable. And I've just learned this over and over again as I have, and I love a quote from one of my favorite movies. This might be before all of your time, but have any of you guys seen Cool Runnings? It's a great movie if you haven't seen it. It's about a Jamaican bobsled team. And one of my favorite movie quotes ever comes from that movie, where the coach of this bobsled team, he had cheated when he was in the Olympics years before, and now he's coaching this team, and the team finds out about it. And one of the members of the team approaches the coach, and he says, Coach, you had 4 gold medals. You'd won 4 gold medals. How could you possibly, why would you cheat to get a 5th one? And this is the line that has always stuck with me. He said, a gold medal is a wonderful thing, but if you're not enough without it, you will never be enough with it. And that is so true. The things that actually give true self-esteem, I love in the Doctrine and Covenants, I can't remember the reference, but it says, let virtue garnish thy thoughts unceasingly, and then will your confidence wax strong. And when you were this learning process that I went through that I wrote Shatter Me about was about that. I was probably the skinniest I've ever been. I was doing well in school. I was everything that everyone probably thought would make me happy, and I've never hated myself so much, and I've never been so unhappy as this time, and it was because I was gaining happiness from everything else besides what was inside. And really, it's all about learning that we are daughters and sons of God, and if you take everything else away, if I took my violin away, if I took everything else away, that needs to be enough, and that's, I think, the constant pursuit that we all need to have. It's hard, and it's so hard not to let the numbers and everything else get in my head of that's what's making me happy, because at the end of the day, they're not.